Hi everyone, it's Gianni DePocia here with you for Theo Trade, and today is Tuesday, the 22nd of April, 2025, and we're seeing a pretty impressive snapback rally across U.S. stocks here today. We started off the week with some hard selling, but we've since had a pretty strong rebound and have erased virtually all of the losses to start the week. We actually did fill that gap from the Sunday night futures session opening, but we've since backed off a little bit. There was some news on negotiations regarding tariffs that led to an initial sell-off, but looks like we've completed a higher low on the days on the intraday basis here. So we'll see where we finish today. Seeing some good things happen in this tape. Most of the updates I'm going to share with you today do err on the positive side. But that being said, we are not out of the woods yet. So let's get into it. You see here the S&P is up almost 2% on the day. The Nasdaq is up more. That's what I like to see. Yesterday I was looking at the sell-off, and it looked like out of the three major indices, the Dow may have been the one most likely to make a new low. But even here, we have snapped back and rallied nicely. The Nasdaq is still outperforming the Dow by a slight margin, but we jump over to semiconductors. We are not seeing leadership from chips just yet. Whether you look at SMH, the ETF, or SOX, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, that remains a problem in my book, especially since a lot of the carnage that we have seen in the market has been dealt in the tech sector above all. And, going back to the start of the fourth quarter 2024, technology is the second worst performing sector, or at least it was coming into this week, behind basic materials. So when you have a sector that represents around 30% of the S&P 500 doing nothing and actually in negative territory over the last 6 months or so, that's going to present a problem, and it's going to present some headwinds for the overall market. If you take a look at the VIX here, we're still flirting with that 30 mark. We're above there today. We are off the lows of the day, but I think if we can get this VIX to back down below 30, that's a good sign of things to come. Now, even though the technology sector still has some problems, there are some names I'm watching very closely in this space. At the top of that list is Palantir. Palantir has been a very strong name, even though we had a pretty steep correction on a percentage basis. On a technical basis, by judging this chart here, it's not all that bad. I really like how the RSI indicator never fell into oversold territory below 30 during this pullback, which leads me to believe that the decline was simply corrective in nature versus the start of a new bearish trend. So I'm watching Palantir very closely. I also have my sights on the quantum sector. The quantum ETF here is up less than the overall market today, but I do think this is a theme that we need to keep a very close watch on going forward, especially for tech in the US, as it seems now that the Chinese market is asserting its initiative over the US when it comes to AI. You can see FXI here up over 3% on the day. It is outperforming the US at the moment. And, one of the names that I'm watching very closely over in China is NetEase. I do like Alibaba as well. That's up almost 5% on the day. And, one of my concerns that I've had in the last couple of weeks was some of the rumors about the ADRs being delisted. I do think that's shaping up to be a more of a negotiating tactic that the U.S. is deploying against China, because this isn't like the case with Russia back in 2022, where you saw some Russian ADRs delisted. The Chinese market is substantially larger, and the economy in China is substantially larger than Russia. So I don't think that would send a good message to the rest of the world if we're just delisting companies that from countries that we have disagreements with. So I'll be watching the developments amongst the terrific 10 names for some opportunities today. Here in the States, we do have Tesla earnings. Still have a swing long that we took from earlier in March open on this one. And if we were in the process of completing a higher low, this could start to get interesting here in Tesla. However, we still need to see prices get above this high from the 27th of March. If we do, That's a step in the right direction, and I'm going to be liking what I'm seeing here. So, we are going to be talking about some earnings flips strategies for you here at TheoTrade. Don and Blake are going to be talking about that with you here in the near future as we get into earnings season. If you can believe it, we are already in earnings season again. But this is the name to watch. I think that'll help us set a tone for what is to come in the tech sector in in this earnings season. Another name that I'm watching that I really like here is Netflix. This is actually a name that is actually about to trigger on the long side for me. So we just hit a new all-time high in Netflix here. This is looking really good. I do have a target of 1260 on this name, and this really has emerged as the leader in the mega cap tech. Technically not a member of the Magnificent Seven, but I mean, it's building a strong case, I think, to be included in that category. Way back when, before the Mag 7, it was the FANG stocks, and Netflix did fall into that category before. So I like this stock. I think it's displaying all the right traits and signs of momentum, and it's a good sign for the overall tech space in the US. Netflix is a stock that's big enough to really become a dominant theme, and it's probably going to be one along the lines of streaming, and there's not really as much tariff risk for a tech name like this. So, I think the whole tech landscape is just going to evolve, and you're going to see new themes emerge. I think quantum's a big part of it, like I said. So keep an eye on Netflix as that stock looks really strong today. On the gold front, we're finally seeing some profit taking here in spot gold. I would not, you couldn't pay me to short this thing. I think it still is pretty bullish. You could see some sideways action here in gold. How high could it go? It's hard to say. I mean, gold has already exceeded my upside target that I had around, 3,200, 3,400 from the beginning of this year. So, now that that's been satisfied, everything else is kind of bonus at this point. You take a look at silver. I think there's going to be some opportunities there. But above all, the mining space, silver miners, down less than gold miners today. I think that's going to be a trend that doesn't stop anytime soon. We've had some good trades thus far in names like AGI and Agnico Eagle Mines. They're holding up. Seeing a little bit of selling today, but I can live with that after the impressive bids that we've seen. Speaking of impressive bids, I'm definitely impressed with what's happening here in Bitcoin. I want to be very loud and very clear about this. This is a very bullish development for a couple of reasons. The first one being, I have a tough time still believing that we could be in an environment where Bitcoin is bidding and stocks are not. Okay, that's the good news. So I do think that if Bitcoin it sticks on this breakout here, that will be a good sign for stocks. The alternative, I think, is that Bitcoin is becoming a more serious asset class. And if it does decouple from stocks, meaning that their correlation breaks down, because over the last few years we've seen Bitcoin correlated to like high beta, high growth stocks, and it's been almost like a leveraged Nasdaq play. And if we're decoupling and it's kind of going to start its own rule book now, that means this is a serious asset class that isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm kind of hoping for the first scenario because I would like to see stocks come back. Ethereum's up a solid 8% on the day. I don't think we should sleep on this either. A lot of people hate Ethereum. A lot of people have been ruling it out and saying, oh, it's over, it's this, it's that, it's going to be replaced by Solana. Maybe. Quite frankly, I don't really care. Mainly because we have satisfied the criteria for a bottom. So there's several names in the space that we are watching closely. I've already initiated some positions on those in the recent past. And I think that if we do start to see the rally in Ethereum especially take, we're going to be in for a pretty exciting back half of the year. I want to take a look at crude oil here with you. A little bit of a rally. I still view this as a retest of former support turn resistance. I am looking for a lower high here. Take a look at bonds, a modest rally here. I'm basically looking for bonds to go sideways over the next week or two, kind of sort itself out. Turns out that a lot of the selling that we have seen didn't necessarily come from overseas. A lot of it was, institutions domestically getting blown up in some way, shape, or form. But that's one to watch. You take a look at the U.S. dollar, a little bit of a rebound here against the Japanese yen today. The euro is also down some against the dollar, and it is a little oversold. That is the dollar being a little oversold. So a bit of a corrective rally and a bit of corrective decline in the euro or in the yen may not be the worst thing to happen in the currency market. And that's going to give, stock bulls an opportunity to make something happen. So there's still a lot of work to do. Have been looking at some setups in the more defensive areas of the market. Names like Monster, that trade's holding up pretty good. Celsius looks very ripe here today, up almost 5% on the day. And even today when I was live, I was talking about Fresh Del Monte produce with Garrett, because this is another name in the consumer staples space. We're still seeing nice setups and good risk reward ratios in the consumer staples space. So I don't think that the rally in this sector is going away anytime soon. The question, of course, becomes, will we see sectors like XLK outperform sectors like XLP? We are seeing that today. It's a good sign, but we're still not seeing technology outperform the index, which is what I need to see in order to get the all clear. A couple of weeks ago, I pointed out how bulls had captured a beachhead because technology was the best performing sector on the week. Well, last week rather, it lost that. We saw real estate as the best performing sector last week, and so the bulls got kicked out of their beachhead. Can they come back this week? That's what I'm looking for as we're in the last full week here of April. But that's basically what I'm looking at right now. Step in the right direction today. If we can finish near the highs of the week by Friday, that'd be a really good sign. But again, the leadership coming from tech and chips, that's what I need to see. But if Bitcoin is any omen of what is to come, we may have reached peak fear. So this is what I'm looking at now. If Bitcoin breaks out from here, we could be back at 105 sooner than you think. And what it's going to do for the risk appetite and the rest of the market, we will see. But this is the big story to watch, I think, right here today. That's all I had, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the Theo Trade chat room. We'll see you next time.